I keep thinking you'll come on back to me.
Section 1.2 talks about algebraic expressions. The official definition of algebraic expressions is combination of operations on variables and numbers. So if you see something like this, let's say 2a minus b. This is considered to be an algebraic expression. What is another algebraic expression? Y x minus 3. This is an algebraic expression. 2x plus 3y. This is also an algebraic expression. So there's various different ways to write an algebraic expression, but basically it's just a combination of numbers and variables along with the operation. But what they'll do for the first part of this section is they will give you a value for each one of the variables in your algebraic expression. Like this first one, we have 2 times x minus b. So, I mean a minus b, sorry. So what they'll do is they'll give you a value for a. So they'll say a is equal to 9, and they'll give you a value for b. They'll say b is equal to 5. And you would have to plug in the value for each one of the variables into your algebraic expression. So instead of a, you put 9. Instead of b, you put 5. And then you just evaluate the expression. Remember what evaluate means. It means just to find a solid number. So you want to combine this using order of operation. Combine it as much as you can. So you do parentheses first. 9 minus 5 is going to give you 4. And then you do the multiplication. That's going to give you a value of 8. And this is the answer. Same thing with the second one. They'll give you a value for the x and the y. Let's say x is equal to 8. And let's say y is equal to 4. So it's almost like a substitution type thing. Instead of y, I'm going to put a 4. Instead of x, I'm going to put an 8. And then I use order of operation to condense it as much as possible. So I do parentheses first. That's going to be 8 minus 3, which is 5. And then you do 4 times 5, which is going to give you 20. So your answer is going to be 20. And last but not least, let's actually use the same variables. Let's say x is equal to 8 and y is equal to 4. So I do my substitution. I have 2. When you see 2 and x together like that, that means that that's multiplication. So this is going to be 2 times x. My x value is 8. So notice how I write the 8 in parentheses. 2 times 8. Plus 3 times my y value. My y value is 4. So I put 3 times 4. And then I use order of operation to solve. I have parentheses here, but these parentheses are just symbolizing multiplication. So I'm multiplying. These are not parentheses where I do the operation inside the parenthesis. Those parentheses just signify multiplication. So I'm going to multiply 2 times 8, which is 16. And then I'm going to multiply 3 times 4, which is 12. And then I add them together. So the value of this is going to be 28. Remember, we're not using calculators yet, so be careful with the usage of calculators. I actually have one more I want to show before I move on. I see this one in the book, and I know it may raise questions, so I have this one right here, and they say that y is equal to 5 and z is equal to 3. So let's do our substitution first. I have parentheses, and then I have 4 times 5. So I can write it like that, or I can put it in parentheses also. Doesn't matter. They both mean multiplication. And then I have minus 5 times z. My z value is going to be 3. And all of this is raised to the third power. So remember, you're doing what's inside the parentheses first. And inside the parentheses, you got 2 sets of multiplication. So let's do that first. So this is going to be 20 minus, this is 15. I'm still working inside the parentheses. So I do my subtraction. This is going to be 5. And then I have it to the third power. So the parenthesis is gone. Now I need to do the exponent. This is 5 times 5 times 5. And when you multiply 5 times 5 times 5, you get 125. So this is your answer. All of these are evaluating type problems. You may even see an equation. The next part that I see on this is that they give you an equation and they give you a value for the x. And the question asks, is x equal to 6 a solution for this equation? So I need to know, if I plug in x equals 6 for all of the x's here, will it give me a true statement? Because if it gives you a true statement, that means that it is a solution. So let's try it. Let's put 6 wherever we see x. So this is 3 times 6 minus parentheses 6 plus 4 equals 8. All I did was put 6 in place of all the x's. And now let me condense this side using order of operation to see if it gives me a true statement. So I'm going to do parentheses first. This is going to be 10. Then I do the multiplication. That's going to give me 18. And 18 minus 10 is going to give me 8. So this is actually a true statement. So I think the question is a yes or no question in my math lab. So you either say true or yes or whatever they ask you in my math lab. This is actually a solution to this equation. So whatever value of x they give you, you plug it in to see if it gives you a true statement. The very last thing they do in this section is you need to learn how to translate. And this is going to lead us into word problems. If you look in your book on page, 22. On page 22, there is a list of all of the translating words that you should be familiar with. If you see the word sum, the word sum is corresponding to addition. If you see the word difference, that corresponds to subtraction. If you see the word product, that corresponds to multiplication. And then lastly, we have quotient, which corresponds to division. Now you want to know these words off the top of your head because that's going to help you when we start translating sentences into mathematical equations. So I'm just going to do 2 examples here, and if you need to see more, you can just email me and I'll be happy to put some more examples up. So the product of 2 and a number. The product of 2 and a number. So the word product corresponds to multiplication. So you have 2 things. You have the number 2 and then you have a number. And you can put any variable you want to for the place of that number. And since I'm talking about the word product, I am multiplying those 2 things together. So I have 2 times a number, and I can call that number x. So I can put 2 times x, and that will be the answer to this problem. Another way you can write this is just putting 2x. You don't have to put the multiplication symbol in between there. It still means the same thing in algebra. So this is the product of 2 and a number. Okay. Let me do one more. The quotient of a number and 5. The quotient of a number and 5. So quotient represents division. So I need to take a number and 5 and divide them. So I can call that number anything. Let's call it y. So I take y divided by 5, and this will be your answer. Y divided by 5. And this sums up this section. If you have any questions, feel free to email me.